Hi, I'm Doug Reeves at Creative Leadership Solutions, where we believe in evidence, passion, and results. Today I'd like to talk to you about the trifecta. That is, how do we optimize student achievement, behavior, and attendance? And I want to give you case studies literally from the last few months that I've seen with my own eyes. For example, a high school where failures are down more than 60% and the interventions required are down 67%. How do they do it? What they call success period, right in the middle of the day. Not Saturday school, not after school, not before school, but they intervene right now. If you don't believe that'll work for you, try this simple experiment. Look at about 30 randomly selected DFs from last semester and ask why. Was it because they didn't show up? Perhaps. Bad behavior? Perhaps. But I'll bet you dinner that the majority of those DFs are due to missing work. And how do we solve missing work? Not with Fs and zeros, because we've been trying that for about a century. And if it were really effective, you ought to have the most on-time complete work you've ever seen. But nobody is telling me that. The way to fix missing and incomplete work or shoddy work is to get it fixed right now during the school day. At the middle school level, some other case studies where not only were Ds and Fs down 70%, chronic absences down more than 80%, suspensions down more than 60%. Why? This was brilliant. These students literally walk through the hallways. Everybody uses the same assignment notebook. They get stamped if their work is complete. The absence of a stamp says work is not complete. And as they walk down the hallway toward their middle of the day success period, people can see if you're all stamped, you just bought yourself 35 minutes of freedom, something that adolescents crave. If it is not stamped, then we have very targeted intervention right then. Now, is it perfect? Of course not. There are some kids who still don't do the work. But I'd settle for a dramatic reduction in absences and in failures and a dramatic improvement in behavior, wouldn't you? At the elementary level, absence down more than 80%, proficiency up 30% in the single year. Now, people think that there's a magic formula here, but I want to be clear. There was no change in students, no change in faculty, no change in per pupil funding. It's all about practices, not programs. So what is the magic formula? There is no magic formula. They did not buy anything. You know, I hope, that I am completely unaffiliated with any program, any vendor. It's all about what we do, not what we buy. So here are some characteristics of these practices. Number one, they are immediate. Same day, same week. They don't wait for the end of a grading period. They don't wait for the end of the semester. Immediate, same day, same week intervention. Sometimes it's even same minute intervention. I was so privileged to watch a school that had resolved a chronic absenteeism problem by having what they called the 60-second report. 60 seconds after the bell rings, the people who are not there are reported to the principal's office. Anybody not in front of students is on a cell phone calling home. Now, would it have been better if the kids were in class? Sure. It would have been better if they had intact two-parent families who packed them a nutritious lunch, gave them a nutritious breakfast, checked their homework, and made sure they got to school on time. But they didn't. So when we punish those kids, who in the world are we punishing? Them or their parents? So this 60-second report was designed to immediately, in the first minutes of school, get students to school. Maybe they miss an hour, maybe they miss a period, but they don't miss all day. And it had a dramatically positive effect on these students. And finally, I don't want you to think that this led to micromanagement of teachers. I know that's a big fear. So what they did was to have freedom within boundaries. And let me illustrate what some of these boundaries might look like. For example, I'm willing to go out on a limb here and bet that you don't allow corporal punishment in your schools, although to our national shame, 19 states still do allow it. 110,000 students received corporal punishment last year, and maybe even you've been tempted sometimes. But your school doesn't allow it. That's not micromanagement. That's just merely setting boundaries on appropriate professional behavior. I think we can do the same on consequences for missing and late work. And that is, yes, we ought to have consequences, but the consequences should not be Fs and zeros, especially zeros on the 100-point scale, because that, my friends, is academic corporal punishment. We can do better. It's not a magic formula. It's practices, not programs. And here are some really practical things you can do right now. Thanks for listening. Remember, at Creative Leadership Solutions, we provide keynotes and workshops, coaching and consulting, and most importantly, have an impact on student achievement. Call us for more details. Thanks for listening.